Are you a recent college grad or nearing the finish line of your education and feeling a little bit anxious about what's to come? Or maybe you're feeling confused about where you're heading or how to put your resume together so that you do look like a strong fit for whatever direction you want to go in. Well, if this is you, you are in luck. We have Andrea Gerson of Resume Scripter here today. And among her specialties are entry-level careers and guidance for newer professionals. So I'm super glad to have her here. She's going to talk about how to decide what direction to head in first and how to put yourself down on paper so that you do look like a great fit. So thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, and Andrea is a friend of JobJenny.com. We do work with her regularly, and among her favorite types of assignments are these projects with young professionals, or even not so young professionals who have gone back and gotten their degree. So I have kind of probably the big question that we hear most often from our earlier career professionals or people getting ready to finish college is, how do I pick the direction and how do I know if I'm picking the right direction? So I wanted to put that one out for you.
Totally. That's such a hard question. And I think that so many people, as they're starting to take the first steps in their career, it can be really paralyzing to feel like, you might make the wrong choice. You might take a step in the wrong direction. And one way that I really like to look at it is that there's sort of, when you're early in your career, there is no wrong move. There is no imperfect step. Each experience, each role that you step into is going to give you a chance to get to know yourself more as a professional and to start to see what are the environments that you work well in, what kind of workplace culture do you like, and what are your strengths? What are the abilities that you want to be cultivating as a professional?
That is so true. And if you look at my early career, it was job. And I think you told me you had a bunch of jobs in your early career that all kind of led up to today. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had some really weird jobs. I was an ice cream truck driver. I opened up and ran a cafe. I went to furniture making school.
Oh my gosh.
But when they put me in environments where I was able to engage with people who were very different from myself, and that's a skill that I've taken with me.
Right. Well, as a resume writer, you work with all types of people too, and that's all those seemingly disparate roles you've held have probably all ended up helping you in what you do today.
Yeah, having that knowledge, not just from my own experience, but learning from all of my clients what all of these different roles and opportunities feel like. The world of work is changing so fast. So it's almost, you sort of can't go wrong. Any experience that you have, there's going to be a way to translate it.
Yeah, and that's probably a pretty liberating feeling for people who either are putting that pressure on themselves, like, oh God, I got to make the right decision, or my whole life going forward is going to be screwed up. Or sometimes it's a parental pressure or pressure from like professors or people externally who, for whatever reason, want you to feel convinced that at age 22 or even 29 to have it all figured out. And what you're saying, and I think I know I echo this, it's unnecessary pressure.
I think so. I mean, there's definitely a type of person and a type of temperament who knows where they're headed, and they can be very straightforward and they can go for that goal. Most of the people that I know who have had the most interesting and fulfilling careers, they have not had that kind of straight shot.
I agree. So now the question is, say I figure out a ballpark of a direction, which I think you'll agree is sort of important to do as you step into the resume writing process, because you want to figure out who am I talking to and how am I going to entice them to want to talk to me. But for a lot of people who are younger adults or have been, spending their energy and effort and time in college, how do you make yourself sound impressive on paper when maybe you don't have either any or much experience that you're going to lay down on that paper?
Well, most of the recent graduates or the early professionals that I work with, they've had, at least one or two positions or internships that they're pulling from. Okay. And the mistake that a lot of them are making is they're just listing tasks. They're only listing, the basics of if they answered phones or if they, just this is the bare bones.
Right.
And they're missing an opportunity, in my opinion, to set the stage for the reader. So when I create a resume for someone, usually the first one or two bullets under each job really lay the foundation for the reader about the environment that the person was working in. So that's an opportunity to paint a picture of the organization that you were working with. So even if you weren't primarily responsible for a major accomplishment, you can still tell the reader about the environment, the context that you were working in. And that's a great way to engage them, to let them know if you've worked in a similar context to what a job would involve. But you can also pull in details about the company itself, what their revenue is, how many clients they work with, and what sectors those clients are in. If you worked on any projects that had a budget that you could reference, that's a great opportunity. That doesn't mean that you managed that project necessarily.
Right.
You're just kind of setting the stage.
So not just here are the duties and responsibilities that I've held, but kind of like, and here's the significance of what I'm sharing. I bet you'll agree. Yeah. I always counsel people to look at the job description of the job that you're applying for and think about, even if the job I did in college was at a tanning salon or something, what are some of the things that I did or achieved that could correlate to what I'm looking to do next? Maybe
Absolutely.
to have like an entry-level job at an ad agency. Well, there's a strong element of customer interaction probably in that job. You, I'm sure, have dealt with customers at the tanning salon with conflict. Somebody's, who turned orange is unhappy about it or something. Yeah. But being able to kind of show those parallels, even if in your mind, like, that's a tanning salon, it's an ad agency.
Right.
There are almost always ways that those jobs do add up.
Yeah, even a job like a tanning salon, you can still pull in details about the number of clients that come into the door every week or every month.
Right, and the pace of the environment, or
whether there was company growth while you were there. Even if it wasn't because of you necessarily, you can say that you contributed to that, which is a really great thing to reference.
So how about this? How about I haven't had an internship or I haven't had a job while I'm in college? Can I share school-related projects or maybe committees that I've been on or volunteer work that aren't necessarily jobs, but maybe I did things that A, I'm proud of, but B, could contribute to me looking like a good leader or somebody who's got my act together, etc. Like, what should I share and how?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in instances where there haven't been, concrete roles like an internship or a paid position, you want to try to make your experience look as much like a formal job as possible. So if you're going to be including a committee, I would actually suggest having a solid leadership section where you're, framing the name of the organization, what your title was, if you could have one or give yourself one, and bullets that really, reference some of these things that we've been talking about. What was the mission or the purpose of the committee? What did it impact? How many students or how many community members did it impact every year, and that kind of thing. So if you're going to frame it that way, you can expand that into, I would say, 2 or 3 bullets, right. But you may have to think a little creatively.
And do you agree, school projects too, if you did like a capstone project or something that maybe simulated a real world type of setting, that can almost be listed as a job in your experience section or within the education section on your resume, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is good stuff. So I want to recap. So number one, for anyone who is experiencing that anxiety, the uncertainty, the stress, you really almost can't go wrong. You can draw from any experience that you have to parlay that to the next role and the next role, and through your career, and I can vouch for that. There's going to be some common threads and things that tell your career story and help flesh out what's really going to be the right fit for you in the long term. Even if your parents or your professors insist otherwise. Andrea and I disagree.
we know better.
We've seen people go through these things. Number two is frame your resume, not just looking at here's the duties I held, here are the things that I was responsible for, but kind of the impact and the things that you're particularly proud of or that correlate to the types of things
like,
that you want.
Here's what I had a hand in.
Yep. And number three, if you don't have those experiences, it's okay. Don't freak out. You can expound on committees and projects and volunteer work similarly as you could, if it were a real quote unquote job.
Yeah, absolutely. A resume, it's a living document, and it's going to continue to evolve, as you grow.
Yep. Any last tips for soon-to-be graduates or recent graduates who are either freaking out about their future or stressing out about their resumes?
If there's a field or a skill that you're curious about and you're not sure if you want to jump in fully, explore it. See if there's a nonprofit that you can volunteer with. Let's say if you're thinking about marketing. See if you can test it out, and that will give you the experience to include on your resume too while you're trying.
That's a great idea. Well, Andrea Gerson of Resume Scripter, she is very generously offering JobJenny customers a 10% discount on early career resumes. You will find a link underneath here and a promo code, which is JobJenny, all one word. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to be alerted when we have new tips and new interviews coming forward, please be sure and subscribe to the JobJenny YouTube channel. Andrea, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jenny. That's been really fun.
Yeah, take care.